welcome to episode 2 of In the Doll's House.
This week we're going to look into the eventful day that led to our little girls joining the world.
We talk unexpected twists and turns and our plans don't always go the right way.
We discuss what a father should pack to help during the lengthy birth period.
And we look back at those first precious moments, we take the little baby back to our homes and how the first weeks were.
So grab a brew and come and join us in the Doll's House.
So Dean, week 2, how have you been this week?
Week two indeed. So yes, this week's been a good week. How about you?
Yeah, all right. So we're going through a bit of a sleep regression at the moment. So our daughter's getting up in the middle of the night quite regularly. Although the couple of nights that she slept through, the secret is feed a banana. So give them a banana before they go to bed and they sleep through.
I'm writing that down. Now.
100%.
Give them a banana.
Yeah,
before
definitely.
they go to
Almost
bed.
works instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's coming down.
So with a baby, can I just put a banana next to her?
Yeah, just like.
Will that work?
It could do.
Banana in the room.
Yeah, it's like a spider.
Yeah.
They won't come in with like what they call a conker in the room, I think it is. So she's coming in with us. So the other night she was in with us sort of like 2:30 in the morning. And she's definitely a middle class child because she's just thinking, "Mummy, I'm hungry. I'd like a brioche." And I was like, "She's no daughter of mine." So whilst
Chocolate brioche or just a bog standard?
Just a regular one, to be honest with you. My wife went down to get the brioche, and then my daughter just rolled over like with a little gleam in her eye. And she just went, "Daddy, I'm not hungry." And I'm like, "You little tinker." So she knows exactly what she's doing. She's got us wrapped around her little finger. So yeah, it's all fun and games there. What about yourself? Any big sort of changes this week?
Well, the first big one is we've put her down in her own bed tonight for the first night. It is tonight. So I have just heard her crying though. So my other half's obviously gone and scooped her up. But we've put her down in her own bed for the first time. She went down really well, to be fair. We were hoping to just get a few hours, maybe.
Yeah, it's a huge milestone, that. So if you can get that sleep pattern sorted straight away, especially when you're moving over to into her own room. So yeah, fingers crossed, like it's a seamless kind of transition from. So she's in the what they call the next to me sort of crib, is it at the moment?
Yeah, so she's been in the next to me crib, and that's worked really well. But she's getting to the point where she's outgrowing that now, because they're obviously only so long, aren't they?
It's amazing how quickly these kind of like level ups, aren't they? Really, like in a computer game, like level up, level 2.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. So
the funniest one was like getting her own when we got her home from the hospital for the first time. We put her into the next to me crib, and we were like, "This ain't gonna work. It's way too big."
Almost kind of.
And it was like, Yeah, it was like putting a pencil on an A3 piece of paper. It was, ridiculous.
So, in the last pod, then we were talking about essentially leading up to the big day. What our sort of the birth plans were, and what to expect up to that point. So, I think we're pretty much up to the point on what actually happened on the days of delivery. So, can you remember like what it was like when the first signs were there, or when you first kind of knew that systems go?
Well, I suppose there was a few things for us. I mean, we ended up going to the hospital, and that's where we found out that my partner had gone into labour. But we went to the hospital because she didn't feel any movement for a little while. Right. So we went to get her checked at the pregnancy assessment unit. Yeah. So we got there, and they do their little scans, and they put you on the machine that checks the heart rate for a certain amount of time and things like that, and checks for movement. So she's pressing the button to say every time she feels a movement. But while she was in there, she started to feel some tightenings. So we spoke to one of the midwives in there, and she said, "Yeah, I think you're going into labour," and asked us what our plan was. So I mean, it was a bit of a shock because it was a Sunday. I was just doing a bit of DIY, putting a cupboard together, and I can't remember what time it was. It must have been about 7:30-ish, 7:30.
Okay.
And she said, "Yeah, I've not felt any movement for a while. I'm just going to phone the pregnancy assessment unit." So she did. We grabbed the bag just in case, because when you get in close to the day it's supposed to happen on, then you want to make sure you've got everything anyway, don't you?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, grab the bag, put that in the car. obviously put my partner in the car.
I've forgotten something.
And then, off we went. I mean, we're lucky because the hospital's literally 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
So, it was quite interesting leading up to that. So, yeah. How about you? What happened on the lead up? Did you have waters break at home, or did you get to hospital, or what was the score?
Yeah, so it's funny you say what was the score, because I was watching the football. It was the North London derby. It was the Saturday evening kickoff, and like, God bless her. I've got to put give her credit for the timing of it all, because literally at the final whistle, she sort of comes in and said, "I think my waters are broke." And I'm like, first things, I just thought, well, I hope that's not on the carpet. I hope it's not, so we were all like, okay, right, now what? Because you see it in the movies when the waters break, it's all like panic stations. We've got to get in a taxi. We've got to try to get to the hospital. The baby's literally poking its head out, and it's not like that at all. It's more I don't know if serene's the right word, because obviously it isn't. So we rang the hospital, exactly the same. So yeah, the water's broken. They were like, yeah, okay, just come along and we'll check everything out. And I thought, oh, she's really calm, which is great. I suppose you want that from an NHS nurse. They don't go, oh my god, get towels.
If they're panicking, that's not the best sign.
No,
is it?
so we had to, as I said, we're same boat, where really, really close. We had to kind of drive through. Still have to pay for parking. Never mind. So yeah, we got there and they were like, waters are broke, but it's a bit of a slow process. So come back again when you think you're about to give birth. And we're like, oh, okay then. So we were in for about, I don't know, 45 minutes and went back home again. So this was probably about 10 or 11 o'clock on the Saturday night. So
how long were you at home for then before you went back again?
It wasn't quite, it's about 20 hours, 24 hours. So the next evening, so all night, it was a really kind of, I personally, for me, it was a slow burner, but I'm sure for Rachel, it was agony. So that progressively got worse and worse over the course of that evening and throughout the Sunday. I don't even think I had a roast. It was that important.
It was that bad,
exactly,
you didn't manage a roast dinner.
Yeah, I think I got a chicken. But. So yeah, about 6:30, 7 o'clock, I think it got to the point where we were like, okay, we'll all go. So we had to, as you say, grab the bag, and we kind of made our way to the hospital. But even then, sort of thing. So when we got to the hospital, because again during lockdown, I had to kind of wait outside in the not even a waiting room. It was in the corridor. Like, it sort of just sat there like twiddling my thumbs, and they were like, okay, Mr. Reading, you can come in. So that was it then. So it was but over sort of 24 hours before there was real sort of action, really. So
I like how you were sent home and you were the ones that were given the job of going, right, when do we think this is a bit closer to coming?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I suppose
the
obviously limited within the number of beds that they could have during COVID, so they can't have you there all night and things like that. So the best place for everyone to be in is to be at home, I think. So we kind of drove back and luckily, like, obviously during the winter, I don't think it was particularly like bad weather. It might have been a bit like wet, but obviously when I tell the story when my daughter's older, and we were like, it was snowing, 6 foot of snow, we had to kind of get you there. So we're in the hospital then, Dean, and your things are starting to move then. What was the next stage for you? So other than give birth.
So this is good, actually. I enjoyed this bit because they said that we're going to take you round to the labour ward now. So we had this lovely midwife that followed us the whole way through the process, because we were told that we'd be able to have a C-section. Yeah. So that was what we'd planned to do. For one reason or another, it was a planned C-section. Yeah. So we didn't know if it would be possible, because obviously with it being early and it wasn't planned for the time that we'd been given to go in. No. You don't know if they can fit you in or not. Yeah. It wasn't an emergency at this point. Right. So if they couldn't fit us in, it would have been a natural birth. Yep. So we were taken around to the labour ward. We were sat in a room in there, and the midwife was just running checks and getting us the things that we needed to wear to be able to go into the surgery place where they had that do the C-sections. Yep. And then this lady comes in, really bubbly lady, really confident. Her name was Debs. I won't ever forget her. And she said, right, I've got one on the table now, you're next up. And that was literally how she said it. So she said, you'll be absolutely fine. We've done this loads and loads of times. And then the midwife says, "Oh, are we moving that quick?" So they said, "Yeah, we'll have her out before it's May." So we got in on Sunday, and it was the 30th of April.
Yeah.
And we got there at 7:30 to get these checks done. We got taken round to the labour ward at about 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
And she was out that day.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was quite a quick process. We had the surgeon come in, and he said, "Oh, I've done this thousands of times. You don't need to worry. This is a really standard procedure.
Yeah.
I've got it," basically. And then we had an anaesthetist come in, who basically explained the spinal block to us, and said, "If there's anything at all you need whilst you're in there, or if you're feeling any kind of way, you tell me, and I will make it stop."
Right.
And she was incredible. It like her job, but we'll get on to that bit next, I suppose.
Do you think the surgeon, even if it was their first night, they still say, "Yeah, I've done this thousands of times," because you don't want to? Hello,
I'm sure it's probably in the manual.
Yeah. Well, hello, my name's Dr. Smith. Just let you know, this is my first one, so we're all in this together. Fingers crossed. I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I hope I have some good luck too. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, they genuinely fill you with confidence, which is really good, because obviously any time you're going to get sliced open, you want to be filled with confidence about it.
Yeah, definitely. They sort of dehumanise it a little bit, don't they? Because they just put a bit of humour in it, because obviously that's your most stressful point. You know we're going to be in the hospital, really, and you're going to be happy. So the fact they're so good at all levels, really, you know, to be able to kind of put everybody at ease and just give you that kind of calming sort of environment for you to be able to give birth. I say for your wife to give birth.
Yeah, I mean, it is a really important thing, because obviously, especially if it's the first time you're going to give birth, then you don't know what to expect. No. You can read about it, and you can talk to other people about it, but obviously it's different for everybody, isn't it? So it's that thing of, if you've got people around you that are saying that they're going to make everything okay, and it's all going to run smoothly, that's going to put your mind at ease a little bit, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely the choice of language as well. I don't know. I think I would definitely prefer the person who sort of comes around with things like, I've got one on the bed and you're next, that sort of thing. I think, you know, I definitely want, you know, that kind of side to it, I think.
Yeah, it definitely made things a bit easier, because you just think, right, well, yeah, they know what they're doing. And the 3 people that we spoke to were 3 people that were in the room, obviously, when it all happened. Yeah. But there were more people in the room than those 3 people. Yeah. There was quite a few people in the room, if I remember right.
Yeah, there's our story is baffling with the amount of people that are kind of there. So,
I mean, how did it go for you from getting to the hospital leading up to the actual point of birth?
So, like, up to the point of birth, it was so easy. Like, from my point of view. So we got there, got to the hospital, no problems. Got like parking, just small things like getting a parking space. That was absolutely fine. Getting booked in, as it were, and then being like shown to the sort of the birthing room and things like that. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. You know, Rach was doing really, really well. They were doing all the scans, and then they were coming in and doing these scans. So the baby was really low. So the thing that struck me though is still how everything's still pretty traditional in their methods. So like their heart monitor was just like it was on like a little kind of, not rope so much, but this kind of strap that went round and kind of attached to them in sort of 2 or 3 different buckles to kind of read the heartbeat. And it just seemed like pretty low tech, like, but if it works, it works. So they would kind of get it on.
Yeah, so it sounds like the one the heart rate monitor they put on my partner as well when we initially went in. Yeah. Just to check that everything was going okay. Yeah. So we were. It works. If it works.
Well, does it work? So they were coming in and we can't quite get a decent reading. There's a faint flutter there, but there's no concern at this point. We're just quite low, so we'll just keep coming back in and making those readings. So at this point, I was happily jumping up and down on the kind of the medicine ball that they've got in there. I even think it got to the point where we decided that she was going to have all the drugs, and the chap had come in and giving the drugs to the painkillers and things like that. So my wife was well on her way to being like, not necessarily away with the fairies, but she was definitely enjoying herself, like rambling a little bit. So then like another doctor sort of came in for like a second opinion, and then was trying to do a reading, and then bang, just smashed this button. And we were like, what the hell's going on? And they kind of, like, as you said, all these members of staff that are there, and then, like, tens of nurses just come from, I think one come from the ceiling, like, smashed through the windows, like, military precision. And they were like, right, we're a bit concerned. We can't get a read in. We're going to have to kind of take another route with this. And, like, whisked my wife away, and we were like, what the hell's going on? And they just left me there in this room, and they were like, right, you're going to put these scrubs on. We'll come and get you in a minute. And I'm like, okay, so literally this was, we'd been in the hospital now for 3, maybe 4 hours. It's about 11 o'clock at this point, and everything was getting so, it's probably going too easy, to be honest with you, and that's why obviously it kind of just changed. So we were there going, right, okay, something's wrong here, because they wouldn't just kind of press this big emergency button and have all these nurses kind of take her away. So I was like, right, okay, I've got to try and keep calm here, because if I'm not calm, then my wife's not calm, and if my wife's not calm, we're in danger zone here. So I had to,
that's a big challenge
massively.
As well, because if you've had that happen to you, your adrenaline levels are going to skyrocket.
Yeah,
aren't they?
you
so
your mind does wander. I think initially I wasn't really, like, if you ask me now, like, hand or not, I don't think I was overly concerned, because we were in the best place.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and they were so good at the jobs. It was, and everything was, so quick the way they kind of took her away. So it was like, right, okay. So I had to put my scrubs on, and then someone came to and said, right, basically the picture is we can't get a reading on the baby's heart, or not enough for us to be happy with the situation. So we're going to have to go for an emergency C-section. And we were like, right, okay. So we kind of walked us through to this theatre, and again, there were hundreds of these nurses. I'll say hundreds, probably not, but there's loads of these nurses kind of gathered around, and there's my wife in the middle, like, with a sheet in front of her and her head poking out the top of it. I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
You're right. There was like, I don't know what his role is, like the head surgeon, not the head surgeon, because he was by the head. He was just like the chief doctor, I think. And he was there kind of, reassuring everybody and saying, putting us in. So it was absolutely fine. And so, so we'd gone from being in a really easy, straightforward birth to thinking, right, what is actually going on? So in the theatre,
it's amazing how quick things change, and it's also, when you look into it, there's a lot of people that are going for a natural birth, and end up going for an emergency C-section for various different reasons. And it seems to be quite common.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose, why the surgeons that perform C-sections are so good at their jobs.
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable. So as I said, we were kind of there. You just don't know what's going on, because you have this huge kind of, like, sheet up just about my wife's sort of chest, like. So he was just holding her hand and saying, it's absolutely fine. The only thing that was going through my mind, we just need to wait for the cry. That's all we were waiting for, is the tears and the cry from the baby. Because once you hear that, everything's absolutely fine. So again, you kind of...
And it's not actually that long, is it, from starting a C-section to the baby being out?
That's the thing. We weren't...
It's quite quick.
I wouldn't have been able to... There's absolutely no kind of concept of time at that point. It did seem pretty quick, but then, we're just, just waiting. And then, you hear that kind of sound, and they're like, right, everything's fine. The nurse is just going to have a look, just give her the once over. And we could kind of hear, and everything was all right. So, no problem. So... Then they sort of came.
I suppose for you on the other, because for me, when we went in, we had it explained to us the whole process of the C-section,
right,
because they'd obviously got the time to do that before they went through it. So they said it's going to be about 10 minutes from starting the C-section to the baby being out, but then it's going to take 45 minutes to an hour to then get everything stitched up, so that you can then go through into recovery, sort of thing. But I'm guessing that you didn't get told all of that if everything was a bit rushed. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, so it was rushed in the way that it was quick. It wasn't. There wasn't kind of any panic in it. It was still a really, really calm situation to be in.
Yeah.
And you kind of guessed that it wasn't too bad, because I think just small things like the nurses around the outside were just kind of having a conversation. So if anything bad was going to happen, they wouldn't be just having a chat, would they? So my daughter was born, and then the
dipping their biscuit in their
exactly, So then I think it was the midwife who comes up to us and says, right, Mr. Reed, everything's fine with the baby. We're just going to take you now to see your daughter for the first time. What I do want you to know is we're going to walk you past your wife. So if you cannot look over your shoulder, we're just putting her back together. And I'm like, right, okay.
Oh, you got to have looked. Did you look?
I didn't, and it was the biggest. I wish I had. I really wish I just said, "Oh my God, there's your kidney," and I wish I had a quick look over the shoulder, because just it's going through the birth with your loved one is the most amazing thing. But then to be able to say I've seen your kidney, I think it takes it to another level. So so we kind of took us around and
just chuck us a pen. I'll stick my initials on it.
Yeah, Chris will see it. Took the baby. Absolutely beautiful thing. Yeah, absolutely no problems whatsoever. In fact, the first thing that came to my mind was, my God, does she look like her uncle? So I was a bit concerned.
Nice.
And I'm sure Tom might listen to this, so he knows exactly. We've had this conversation before. So she looked a little bit like him, but yeah, she was absolutely smashing. The only thing I didn't have to deal with was the first tarry poo thing, the meconium. Is it?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you dealt with that, but I'm sure we didn't. So I think it would, between the birth and when the nurse was given to cleaning her up, I think it might have happened then. So that was almost a rite of passage.
Yeah,
isn't it?
we did.
Right.
Yeah, we did, but I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had I've got my daughter in my arms for the first time, and I don't know whether you do this.
Did you cut the umbilical cord?
No, I don't think I was given that option.
No.
I don't think, because it was an emergency. I don't think so. Or did I?
Right. Okay.
I can't remember. I think I was too busy kind of at the top end. So we had her in my arms, and obviously so Rach was still being put together. Like a bloody bionic woman.
Bit like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, all these king's horses aren't going to put her together again. They've got the hooves.
Yeah.
So I was holding my daughter in his arms for the first time, and then randomly, I don't know if they do this for all of them, but the midwife come and put like a little knitted hat on it, and it was just so it was too big. Yeah, that's all right. I just thought it was a bit random, but I'm glad they do it. So yeah,
what colour was yours? Did you get a good colour?
I think it was like a off-white, yellowy thing. Well, it definitely was by the time we finished. We had her in my arms, and Rachel was kind of being put back together, but I can't remember it being 45 minutes. It had been put. It might have been. It might well have been. And then. What can happen then? We were just taken to like a waiting room then, I think. And then remember.
Yeah, so you get taken through to recovery then.
Yeah, that's it. And
where you've got like a bunch of computers around, and your midwife's in there, and she's taking various readings and tests, both on the baby and your partner, to make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
And then try to get them feeding straight away.
Yeah, were you in your own room? Were you?
So, yeah. Well, we went through. So if I go from the start bit, I mean, we went through, got told we were next on the table, got taken down. I got put in a little waiting room, so we got our scrubs on and stuff. I got put in a little waiting room whilst my partner was taken through to have the spinal block done.
Right.
Because you're not allowed to be in the room when that happens. So, I was in this little waiting room. And there was a few people walking past, but at this point it was like really late at night, so it was really quiet in the hospital. And there was a few people walking past this waiting room, and this one lady comes past and said, "Shouldn't you be in there?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm just waiting." And they said, "Well, what are you waiting for?" I said, "Well, because I'm waiting for my daughter to be born." And they're like, "Oh, you've got the wrong colour hat on." I said, what do you mean? So what had happened when I was given my scrubs is I was given a pile of clothes, essentially, and they say, get changed into them. So you just get changed into them. You don't ask any questions, do you?
Yeah.
So it turned out they'd given me a hat that was a surgeon's hat. So they'd given me a blue hat and basically said that was what you should be wearing. Well, they'd not said that. So this person said, "Oh, you should be in there," and then they realised that I wasn't the surgeon.
Right.
They nipped off and grabbed a white hat for me instead. So I put that on.
You know what? That does answer a question, really, because I wondered why I ended up doing an appendectomy. So I must have had the wrong hat on as well. Hey, it went all right.
Wrong hat. Yeah. It's all about hats in hospital. I mean, I love a good hat, but I mean...
I've not seen my watch since, so maybe there's somebody walking around that I've tried an appendectomy on and they got me a wristwatch.
Yeah.
So
listen to their stomach and see if there's ticking.
So were you there for the actual kind of... Did you make it in there for the delivery, or did that faulty ad?
Yeah, so after the spinal block had been done and I'd operated on somebody else, in I went and got in there and they took me straight to the head end and the sheet was up like it was for you. And I was very keen to look over the sheet. I couldn't see around it because of where it was on my partner, and literally the guy doing the surgery was so close to the edge of the sheet that I couldn't squeeze past without knocking him. And I didn't think that was probably a good idea.
Yeah, no, probably not.
So, but they operated. The anaesthetist was amazing. So my partner said, I'm starting to feel a bit shaky. She disappeared for like 20 seconds, came back and the shaking had stopped. Then she said, I'm starting to feel a bit sick. She disappeared again for a little while and then came back and it had stopped. She basically said to my partner, anything that you feel that you don't like the feel of, tell me, and if I can do something about it, I will. And she was brilliant. And she was just so efficient at her job. It was crazy. But yeah, we went through the process, and eventually the baby, out comes the baby, and my partner said it felt like her stomach was a washing machine. The way it felt, like the way it was being, I suppose, pulled out and cut and moved in different directions, because obviously they don't cut a massive great big hole that's big enough to fit the baby out sideways. They cut the smallest hole possible and then pull the baby out. So the bit that was a bit scary was the waiting for the crying, which I'm sure it wasn't very long, and my partner says she didn't think it was very long at all, but it felt like quite a while to me. And then you hear the crying, and then all of a sudden things get very real, and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
That's it then.
And then you get past the baby. But I didn't get past the baby straight away. So what happened was they obviously took her, wrapped her up. They weigh them, don't they, straight away. And then on our birth plan, I'd put down that I'd like to cut the umbilical cord. So they bring me over to this there was like a weighing scale type top. The baby weighing scales, it was near there, and there was a bit where they lay her down and they give you a pair of scissors. And I was like, so obviously they've got to have cut the umbilical cord before they get her over there, otherwise it's going to be like 20 metres long, because it was the other side of the room.
They have to wind it back in again for the next one.
So what they do is they cut it long and clip it. So they've cut it long enough to give you a bit of cord to cut, essentially. So the midwife who came with us, like right the way through the whole journey, was there with me when I did that. And she said, I'll give you these scissors, and they were like the medical scissors that you get in first aid kits. And she said, you can cut just there. So she sort of pointed where to cut, and she held the top bit and I cut through it. It was really tough, really tough and gristly. So I cut it, and then blood sprayed all up my arm.
Oh, nice!
Because obviously there must have still been some blood in the umbilical cord from above where they'd clipped it. So then I get to hold her for the first time, which is obviously one of the most incredible things ever.
Did you do the Lion King thing? The Master Penguin.
And I didn't. No. I missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, I think everyone thinks about it, but
wasn't top of my thought priorities. To be fair,
no, me neither.
And then I took her over to my partner and held her next to my partner so she could see her. But obviously she was being stitched up, so she had to wait like a good 45 minutes to actually get to hold her properly. So I think she was just really excited to hold her, but obviously couldn't yet. No. And we got a lovely knitted orange hat.
Well, there you go. So she wasn't doing any surgery
which was great. No, she wasn't doing any surgery. I'm not sure what the orange ones are for. I think might be cleaners. Not sure.
Come up with a mop and broom. So I think when they're going through, like, being put back together again, I might be wrong in this, but don't they check all like the organs and stuff just to make sure everything's all right when they put them back together again? So that's when, like,
I'm not 100% sure.
So that's when they offered me to kind of walk past. They were saying, right, we're going to just put her back together, but they just check everything over, just make sure everything's all right. They didn't kind of clip anything on the way.
I'm not 100% sure, but I guess they would do all of the necessary checks that they needed to do to make sure that the mum is healthy, because that's the last thing you want,
and
also an unhealthy mum after.
Yeah, major surgery as well, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Oh yeah, it is. Anything where you're getting cut open, especially a decent sized hole, then it is major surgery. And I think it's obviously very daunting for somebody to go through that and then come out the other end, and then the recovery process of it isn't quick, is it?
No, it's unbelievable. Like,
it's
So what sort of time do you think your daughter was born then? Do you know?
10 to midnight.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
So it was 10 to midnight on the 30th of April.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Ours was, she was about midnight, I think. So, look at it. So, the moment from, and I even think at midnight, that's when we were in that kind of recovery room. So, it shows you how quickly it was between, from everything being all right and me jumping up and down on one of those big space ball things, and my wife being off her tits on whatever medication she gave it to us.
Yeah.
Being parents, like, it was so quick.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we looked at earlier, before we started recording, I was saying to my partner, how long was it between like the actual start of the surgery to baby arriving? And she said, well, it can't have been that long. She says, hang on, I've got a few photos. So we flipped back through her phone, because obviously whilst you're in there, you get told to take as many photos as you like.
Yeah.
So we got loads of photos of like when she was first born and everything. Yeah. And I took a selfie in my blue hat and a selfie in my white hat before I got taken through into the room.
Yeah.
But that was probably about 5 minutes before I got taken through into the room.
Yeah.
And the distance between that photograph and the first photograph of her after she'd come out was 15 minutes.
Wow, mad, isn't it?
In total.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, it's probably a maximum of about 10 minutes from starting the surgery to the baby being out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable
in a lot of cases. So what was your bit like when you went into the recovery then? Was it all smooth at that point?
Yeah.
Did everything feel a bit more relaxed and calm at that point?
Well,
because I'm guessing your wife would have been a bit worried up until the point of the baby coming out, because obviously being whipped away.
Yeah. So she was obviously exhausted and like in a bit of pain, and obviously couldn't hold her daughter. So is well, at the end of the day, you can say it's quite tranquil and quite calming, but then you've got a 10-minute-old baby there. And so it was. Yeah, I've got pictures of me holding her for the first time, like as if, oh my god, I'm going to drop it. It looks so awkward. I do look so awkward. Maybe we can put that picture on the socials as well. So yeah, look really, really awkward holding her. But yeah, I managed to...
I think though you are right. When you first hold them for the first time, it's probably the most careful you have ever been with holding anything in your life.
Yeah. Oh no, we just throw her...
because you're like fragile.
Yeah, no, we just throw her around as if she's made of like balsa wood or something. But no, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right saying, but yeah, it was weird. We were the only. I think we were the only. I'm sure there might have been one other. I think there was somebody moaning there. I'm sure there was. But yeah, I just remember like getting and to go to the fridge and getting sort of the. I think they've got some. What they call it, making a formula up and feeding her for the first time whilst we were still there. So I had me scrubs on. So it was about midnight. This was, but obviously because of lockdown, then this is leads on to the next question. And so, what was it like for you, after birth, and talk us through what you had with you just to make that kind of time period manageable. So you've had the baby's delivered. What kind of happened next, and how did you kind of pass the time?
So we were in for a little while, because after you've had a C-section, you're not going to go home as quick, are you? No. So both of us would have spent a little while in hospital afterwards. It's hard to get back home to pick anything up, so it's always best to have a good chunk of stuff packed, isn't it? So you've got things that you need. I mean, you spend most of your time just staring or holding your new child that's just arrived. So your time's taken up by that most of the time. I mean, I suppose my big bit of advice is check what the rooms have got in that you're going to go into afterwards, because for me to sleep, I had a plastic chair.
Oh God!
like a plastic, like plastic school chairs.
Yeah.
And one side of it wasn't even attached to the legs properly.
Oh, nice.
So it was the most uncomfortable thing ever. I mean, I can't really talk about being uncomfortable after my partner's just had a C-section,
No.
but at the same time, like, you both need some sleep. I mean, they obviously need a lot more sleep than you do after what they've been through, but at the same time, you need to be that person that's going to do the main caring to start off with, because they're going to need to get their energy back up and just get back to like full health and stuff.
I think that's the easiest way to simultaneously annoy 3 or 4 women at the same time, is when you're in like that situation in that room, and you turn around to nurse and, have you got anything else for this chair? It's a bit uncomfortable. And they'll all just turn around and just look at you like but like a mate of mine,
eyes rolling.
A mate of mine just who's back in Dubai, he's just giving birth, and he sent me a picture of the setup, and he had a full on bed as well. So we had a sofa bed.
That's what you want.
Yeah,
that'd be good. I mean, my partner just said, "Oh, it's okay, lay on the bed next to me." But they are. I mean, they're slightly bigger than single beds, aren't they? Hospital beds. Yeah. But I mean, straight away I was like, I can't do that, because what if I move and like knock where you've been cut open?
Yeah.
I'm not. I just don't want to make things worse for you at all.
Yeah.
Or if I move in the night, which makes you move a little bit, that makes you a bit sore and stuff.
Yeah, kick her off the bed.
I mean, the one thing I did do is we had to come home because we've got a cat. So we came home to feed. I came home to feed the cat very briefly. Whilst I was at home, I've got like a camping mat.
Yeah.
That's one of those sponge ones that self-inflates.
Yeah, I've got one of them. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I picked that up because I knew we were going to be in for another night.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to grab a sleeping bag, and I'm just going to kip on the floor.
Yeah.
Because that's more comfortable than trying to sleep on a chair. And even though people were coming in through the night to do our observations and stuff, none of them stood on my head. So, I mean, I suppose that's a bonus.
Yeah, they put a flashing light on your forehead. They give you another app. They glowed in the dark.
Yeah, so on the way back to the hospital, I just grabbed a few road cones and put one in each corner of where I was sleeping.
Sleeping.
Yeah. But I think like that's probably the main thing that you need. The other thing you need really is to know where in the bag everything is that your partner might need.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of important, and just to make sure that they're comfortable the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you take with you?
Well,
did you take anything that was a bit fun, a bit different?
No, I didn't. I didn't actually take anything because I knew that I wasn't going to be allowed to stay for very long because of lockdown. So from giving birth, I reckon. So if we gave birth at around midnight, I think I might be wrong. I reckon I was home for 1:30. So I couldn't stay around very long. I think
you couldn't stay at all.
No, so I was able to feed my daughter for the first time and just hang around a little bit. But once she, everyone was like comfortable. I had to go. I had to get back, get my clothes back
I mean,
on.
that must have been hard on everybody.
Yeah, not easy.
Obviously, your partner can't even sit up yet. No. Not on her own anyway. No. Not without the support of the bed moving up.
Yeah.
So how did that work for her? Because like, I know with my partner, I was doing a lot of the if she needed picking up, I would pick my daughter up.
Yeah.
To take her to my partner to feed, and I'd give her a bottle and things like that. So we were really sort of sharing what needed doing. Yeah. But obviously, if you're left there on your own, that must have been really hard.
She would have had a button. I think she had a button. So if you press the button, then a nurse will come in and give you a hand. I think.
Okay, so they were really well staffed.
Yeah, they would have had to be because they know the situation. I presume they put all the C-section mothers together. They must do. I don't know. So yeah.
I think the ward that we were on. The ward that we were on, there was 5 or 6 beds, and they were all people that had C-sections. Yeah.
So I remember kind of ringing us at some point, and like she was. Even then, my daughter was just fast asleep. I think there was crying babies in the background. But yeah, so I was home that night, and then I could go back in again. I don't know how long I could have gone home for either. I wasn't there for. I couldn't go much in the day neither. Next day.
I suppose during COVID there was quite a lot of restrictions, wasn't there? So you'll get a different experience this time. Though,
nice. Completely different. So I went back in the next day, so I was able to kind of feed her again and make sure. I think I could go back with some more stuff for my wife as well. Just make sure, like a change of clothes and that sort of thing.
You make sure she got everything she needed.
Yeah, and then again, I couldn't stay that night either, so I went and had a bargain bucket from the KFC.
Nice.
Swings and roundabouts.
Make sure your energy levels are up.
Exactly. It's been a tough day for me.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult. Like both days having to leave. My wife and now my newborn.
So I suppose the best bit for you then was the actual bit where you first got them home, because then you could spend your first bit of time, proper time together as a family.
Exactly that. So that would have been the Tuesday, I think. So we just stayed in that night, next night. Yeah, so Tuesday would have been when we got the, that awkward moment we have to put the baby in the seat for the first time and then carry her through and then put her in the back of the car.
There's a lot of learning, isn't there?
Yeah, and everything.
There's a lot of... Yeah,
everything's learned by doing as well. It's not like, we'll practice, because you can't really. I suppose you can practice putting the car seat in the back of the car, but when you've got like the most fragile little thing in the world in the car seat, you've got to try and get that right. But and then again, thank whoever to that we're so close that it was only sort of driving around the corner. But definitely remember that moment. You put the baby seat in the middle of your living room and be like, right, okay, now what? Huge, like it's like,
yeah. We've got to get this seat base into the car.
Yeah.
So that's your first job, isn't it? And then you check your seat fits on it, make sure you both know how to use it.
Yeah.
And none of them ever work exactly how you would expect them to.
No.
This is something I've found out with things for babies in general.
Yeah.
Whenever you're putting anything together that's like the simplest of things, like a seat, it doesn't go together in the most logical way at all. It's the most illogical way of things going together.
Well, I think I've got undiagnosed adult ADHD, so I can't follow instructions at the best of times. So that's why I don't put any furniture together or anything like that, because I'm fairly useless at that sort of thing.
So, I mean, one of the things that that I found really interesting was the whole everything you're doing for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's all really new, and although you've read about it and you might have even practiced some things like at home, like one of the things my partner got me to do, which was hilarious, was she was like, "You've never put a nappy on before, have you?" I was like, "No, they don't fit me." But I thought she said, "Right, here you go, have a teddy, try and put a nappy on a teddy." And I was like, "Oh, this is easy, so easy." Yeah. Teddies don't move, do they?
No.
I mean, it makes it much harder when you're coming to put a nappy on a baby for the first time. Yeah. And to be fair, when we were in the hospital and we'd just gone up onto the ward, that was when our little girl had her first poo.
Right.
And the midwife that had followed us right the way through said to me, have you changed a nappy before? And I was like, no, we've not got any other children, and we'd not really got any young children in the family that I'd been around to do anything like that. So she said, "Do you want me to do it with you so I can show you how to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be amazing." She was just everyone was just so helpful, which is really good. But then when you get home, obviously they're not all there anymore, are they?
Yeah. Where's that button where you press the nurse comes
and
down?
You've got to work a lot out for yourself.
Yeah. The first time you do it, you think, right, okay, let's try and put it on a buckaroo, and you're definitely going to put knuckles in bits and So now we're at the point then where your life is now changed. Did you get just as you were leaving the hospital, just one more about that, did you get the obligatory sort of photo from behind you carrying the seat with your child in?
Do you know what? I don't even remember. I don't know if I can't remember whether we did or not. I remember I started walking off down the corridor and my partner was like, "You're going to have to slow down a bit." I was like, "Oh yeah, you've just had major surgery on your stomach. You're not moving very quick,
I
are
was
you?"
exactly the same. I'm not a quick walker anyway. But I think, I'm definitely quicker than someone who's just had major surgery and a human pulled out of them. I reckon I could beat them in a race.
Yeah. All I was thinking was... get the baby in the car seat, get the car seat in the car with the baby in it so they don't get too cold.
Yeah.
Because it's nice and warm on the wards, isn't it? But as soon as you get into the corridors, it's much colder.
Yeah, and we were December
get
as well.
Get her in the car. Yeah, get her home, and then it'll be it'll be a bit easier from that point onwards.
What was that? What was that car journey home like? What was it like driving home for you, with the little one in the back? And
I mean, that was the first time I'd ever driven with anything quite so precious.
Yeah.
In the car, so I was driving quite slowly.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, what time would it have been? It was, I think we left the hospital. It was around tea time. A few days later. Yeah. The traffic wasn't that bad. I think it might have just been after the tea time rush.
Right.
So I think that the traffic had died down a bit, and the drive home was all right. But when we come onto the estate that we live on, there's speed bumps.
Oh God!
So that obviously wasn't the most pleasant for my partner, because I was trying to go over them as slow as I possibly could, because the last thing I wanted was a bit of a jerky movement.
Yeah.
And we have to do, there's 4 speed bumps in total to get from the edge of the sort of the estate to where our house is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a slow drive is probably the best way of putting it.
The road we lived on was pretty sketchy and pretty awesome. There was so many potholes. So in there, so it was exactly that. You kind of, like, my wife felt every single pothole that you kind of went over, and it was like, I'm so sorry. We're literally sort of doing 10 miles an hour all the way home.
Yeah.
So
and then when you get home as well, who do you help out the car first? There's that bit to think about, isn't there?
Oh yeah. Oh, I literally cannot remember there. I think the gentleman inside of me would go towards, I'd definitely help my wife first. But the child inside of me was probably like, no, we'll get the baby first. Actually, this would be pretty cool. We lived in a flat, or like an apartment, so we had to obviously go through the main front door and then straight up a set of stairs. So that must have been that. Yeah, I think I kind of just left Rach to get up there in her own, not in her own time sort of thing, but I tried to help as much as I can, and
you've got all the bags and a baby. Yeah. And you're trying to help somebody up. You need an escalator. Yeah. That's what you needed.
Well, they did escalate, mate. Don't worry about that. It definitely escalated. I think I don't know if the dog was there as well. We might have had the dog. He was keen as mustard. But I think that we're at that point now where it all kind of, that's it. Now you're a dad, and there's no going back.
Yeah, and I think probably one of the best bits as well is when you get home, and you just start working everything out together. Yeah. It's you've got to work together. It's really important, isn't it? Because there's a lot to do, and also, no matter whether your partner's had a natural birth or a C-section, there's still going to be recovery time, and there's still going to be time where you're doing a lot to help them, as well as helping to look after your newborn, and you've got a house to think about as well, to make sure that everything's clean and tidy. And not everybody gets a huge amount of paternity leave, do they? I mean, I know we're both in the same profession, so we're both going to have ended up having roughly the same amount. Yeah. So I was quite lucky in that I had 2 bank holidays fall within my paternity leave, which meant that I got 2 additional days at the end because the bank holidays don't count. So I got really lucky with that. And that was thanks to royalty, really. Yeah. I mean, I've not sent them a letter to say thanks personally.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's what those bank holidays are for. But yeah, I mean, did you get the 2 weeks as well?
Yeah, so I think I got the 2 weeks, but I was as I say, we're still in lockdown anyway, so I was 100% working from home. So even when like I was back to work, it was all remote, and I try not to give too much away, but each session that we were working essentially was 3 hours long. So, and then sort of there would be times where I wasn't necessarily needed to do my work. So I had those 3 hours. So I had quite a big periods of time in the day to be able to, help out and things like that. So I think actually that was a bit of a blessing in disguise. And also the fact that it was, I think our my paternity leave led up to the Christmas holidays as well. So I had the longest paternity. It was like 4 weeks.
Oh, that worked.
Yeah,
nice.
it was like the timing was perfect. So not only did she give birth just after the game of football, she also gave birth just before like the paternity leave led into the Christmas time off. So, I tell you, it was almost like we planned it.
See, almost like you planned it. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was very different because although I got a bit longer than what I should have had because there was 2 bank holidays, so I got an extra couple of days. It just doesn't feel like long enough.
No, it's never going to be long enough.
Not just because you're wanting to spend time with your new daughter that's amazing and you're getting to spend all this new time with and like learning things about each other and learning things together along with your partner as well. It's just by the time I went back to work, I don't think my partner was quite ready for that because she'd had a C-section.
Yeah, no way.
And yeah, it meant that I was leaving her. I mean, luckily we had some family that came to help when I went back to work, but it meant that I was leaving her for like a normal working day. And in that time, she still couldn't really pick our daughter up properly because she still hadn't recovered enough from the C-section because it took her quite a while to recover.
Yeah, it's a long period. But like, so with this one, I'll be starting a new job in after Easter, and I had to really kind of push my course to try and get any time off at all. But they've been really supportive, and they are offering me the full 2 weeks, which is great. But as I said, I don't know what it's going to be horrible to that first Monday morning going back into work. Knowing that my wife's gonna I believe we're gonna have a C-section again, so going through the same pain and things like that, it's going to be difficult for everybody.
I mean, one thing I would say is this time round, because obviously last time round it was a bit different because you got to work from home and stuff afterwards. One thing I would say is this time round, just completely switch off from it. Yeah. Don't answer text messages or WhatsApp messages or even check your emails or anything. Like when you're on that paternity leave, you were on that paternity leave.
Yeah, turn the emails off.
Just leave an out of the office type email response that goes out for people because it's not. I mean, so in some professions you get much longer, don't you? I mean, I remember the health visitor coming round. I think it was the 10-day visit, and she'd just come from somebody else, and their partner had got 3 months.
Wow!
I thought, oh God, that'd be amazing. Managing to have 3 months paternity leave, and that was just. She said that was just what they got for the place that he worked at. Yeah. So it is very different depending on your profession, and I think if you are in a profession where you get a longer period of time, that's definitely a really positive thing, and I think it should be something that more employers do. Really,
I think the laws are beginning to change a little bit. They've just changed it. You don't have to have 2 consecutive weeks anymore. You can take it whenever you want to. So we're there then. So we've gone through the birth process. We've talked about the ups and downs and the changes of scenarios and your plans going out the window, and we're now fully fledged fathers for the first time. Episode number 2. So hopefully you've enjoyed us rambling on about our delivery process.
Yeah, we've talked for quite a while, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a long one, this one. So yeah,
I mean, when you get into it though, it's a fascinating process. And if you're listening to this and you've not gone through it yet, I'm sure that obviously you will have heard some stuff that will be really helpful, but your process might be a bit different to ours as well.
Yeah, completely different.
So it's the sort of thing that if you've had a interesting time with it, do post on our socials and tell us what you've been up to as well, because we're always really interested to hear it.
So if you'd like to keep up to date with what's going on in the Doll's House, please have a look at our Instagram page, which is in the Doll's House Pod, and there's an underscore after each word. So in_the_Dolls_House_pod, and you'll be able to see regular updates from us in the Doll's House. Next week, we'll go through what it's actually like to be a father in those first couple of days. What kind of equipment have we bought? What would we recommend? What would we recommend you maybe staying clear of? So again, hope to see you again, and join us in the Doll's House.